This first series is this first back stretching series has a number of exercises in combination together. So I'm going to go through that combination. And the first one, I've got this roller situated right at my hips. And I'm going to put my feet out just with a slight bend. And the initial start point is here with my hands at my side. So I'm going to roll back until I put a little bit of tension on that roller. And make sure that you're drawing your TA when you're doing this. Obviously, when my spine is flexed, my rectus abdominis are tight, but remember that corset-like TA should be tight as you initiate this. So hands down to the side, and I'm just going to push up with my glutes, and I'm going to come down to my low back on this initial phase. And as I walk out with my feet, I'm going to bring my arms over in full extension, and I can just let gravity pull my hands back down to the ground. And while I'm doing this, my TA is tight, my glutes are real tight, I'm keeping my feet straight ahead, and my knees are about 3 to 6 inches apart. And then I can roll back to center, and I come all the way down to my lumbar spine. So you can kind of finish with a slight bent knee, and then again, I may start with a little more flexion in my knee, and I'm going to push up with my glutes, and I can start way down on my lumbar spine this time, so I'm rolling down on the back end, and you kind of feel a hot spot here, and then as you swing your arms over your head, you're rolling forward until you get to the set point. Squeeze those glutes, elevate your hips, and you'll kind of feel a spot. Now I've got one on my scapula on my back bone, and I'm kind of rolling back and forth. So when you get to that trigger spot, stay on that just for a little bit, and then you can really kind of feel that. And also, I kind of reach to the right, and I reach to the left, and that just changes that roller position ever so slightly. So those little knots that you develop are really helpful. So that's the first one. The second one is to turn the roller longitudinally. So I'm just going to put it parallel with my spine. I'm going to sit on it here with my butt, and I'm going to bring it back, and so my head is also supported. And this one is real simple to start with. I'm just going to bring my arms straight over my head, and then let them drop down to the ground, and I'll just alternate my arms. And when I get to this point here, and I'm a good example of tightness because this lat's real tight. I'm going to let it drop down, and then swing it back over the top again, and then let it drop down. I can kind of pulse it like I'm doing, just to sort of get it down a little bit further, and that's just a dynamic stretch that I'm adding to it. Now the second part of this is I can bring my hands out to the side in a T and just allow my hands to be supinated or palms up. And as I'm doing this, I'm going to relax and let my elbows flex and let my elbows come to the ground. So as I'm doing this and I shorten that angle at my elbow, I'm getting a great stretch across my pecs. So it's not only beginning to stretch your back a little bit, but you're obviously stretching the front side here, and you kind of open up your rib cage and your pecs. And you can slide that back and forth. So start again with the swings, and then finish with the T with a bent elbow, sliding your hands back and forth. This next one, I'm going to move the roller out of the way, and there's a couple subtle stretches. This first one, I start with my legs straight, and I want to sit nice and tall. Draw my TA in, shoulder blades slightly retracted. I'm just going to overlay my right foot over the top of my left. And this one looks kind of silly when you start, but you're going to kind of lean forward with your entire body, so you keep your upper body nice and straight. And as you do this, you're going to feel a pull all the way down through your thoracic spine, down to your lumbar spine. And I kind of go to a set point here. A lot of you that are really tight in your hamstrings are going to say, wow, I just feel that in my hamstrings. So make sure you draw in that transverse abdominis, and you'll start to feel it's just a very, very nice, calm pull through that low and mid back. And you can kind of lean forward just ever so slightly with your hands without putting too much load on your hamstrings. And sometimes you move your hands out to the side. You'll transfer this to your back and rotate your palms upward as I have it right now. And again, this is a back stretching exercise. This next one is legs crossed, and you want to do it in both directions. I have my right leg in front right now, left leg behind. I'm not sitting on top, so I'm not drawing them real tight. I've got my right leg slightly forward, and I'm going to sit real tall again, draw my TA, and the TA is really critical. I'm going to reach forward as far as I can, and I want to try to keep my back fairly straight, and then just slightly retract my shoulder blades. So that'll cause my hands to go out like this. And as soon as I do this, I feel this nice little stretch, and I also feel it's also a little bit of a strength exercise. And I can rotate my thumbs upward like this, and just lean forward. And again, you're going to feel a nice little pull. So I don't mind this flexion that I have, the flexion of my hip. in doing this. A lot of you that are tight in your hip flexors are going to find that this is a pretty binding exercise. So I'm going to go forward here, and then I'm just going to reach forward, palms down, and let them come down to the ground, and hold this, and then eventually come down with my elbows, and I can kind of shift that position to the right a little bit. So I'm bringing my right armpit over my right knee, and then go to the left. And again, when we do these on a continuum, as I've done the exercise, we're going to spend a little more time on each of these. But this is the sequence, and here's the next one. This is a scorpion exercise, and I'm going to start on my stomach. And as I'm on my stomach, I put my hands out and palms down. I want to draw my TA in on this one because I do not want to arch my back to get the length. I'll lift my right leg up, let the knee flex, and I'm just going to cross over with that leg and see if I can just let gravity bring it down. Eventually, I want to see if I can get a little bigger hip extension with that right leg. So not only am I stretching my back, but those of you that are tight in your hip flexors are going to feel this, and your quadriceps are going to feel this as well. So again, don't arch your back to get this foot way over here. Just reach back a little bit, draw your TA in, and let gravity come down. So this is a dynamic stretch. I'm going to pause for a second, come back to center, and then I'll go to the left side doing the same thing. Let gravity bring it down. And you're going to find you have one real tight side. The other thing to remember on this is that you turn your head opposite. So as I bring my left leg over, I'm trying to push down with my left pec, and I have my head turned to the left side. I'll come back to center again, same thing. So I'm going off to my left side. I'm trying to push this pec down, and that'll help stretch my back just a little bit. And again, draw that TA in. You can slide your foot up and down as I'm doing right now, and that kind of changes that load on the back. So that's a scorpion stretch. Flipping back over on the front side, this stretch also works your hamstrings, but it's predominantly a back stretch. And again, a lot of people that have issues on that back side with a hamstring pull are going to notice that, yes, this does pull the hamstring, but boy, it loosened up my back and it takes the tension off my hamstring. So I'll start on my back. I'm just going to bring my leg up and kind of that set point here. And obviously this is a stretch for that hamstring. And I'm just going to let my leg drop over to the side and come all the way down. Now there's going to be a sticky point where it may not come all the way down, and you just kind of pulse it gently for about 8 to 10 times. And eventually gravity will bring that leg down. The opposite shoulder on the back side, my right side, with my right leg crossed over, I'm trying to keep that scapula flat on the ground. And again, trying not to arch my back, drawing in my TA. And in the same position, the next step is just to bend your knees slightly and keep that flexion in your hip, slightly below your hip joint. In other words, don't bring it up here. And see if you can kind of push down to start with that top hand. So I'm just kind of applying pressure here, and I'm pushing that knee down. Now bring it up a little bit higher, above 90 degrees, and do the same thing. Simultaneously, bring that scapula back down to the ground. And you can try a little pretzel motion on this as well. So you can interlace your legs, and then let them flop over here, and I can kind of pull down with my legs at the same time, and my hand, so I get a little different stretch at the same time. So you may want to incorporate that one as well. So hands out to the side, and I'll come back to center, and obviously go to the other side doing the same thing. Leg up straight, and then cross over, then do the bend as well. So that series is a great series to start with for all your exercises before you go out and do your activities. Okay, I'll be back.